Hello and welcome to College Development Day video, and we really hope you are going to enjoy the next sort of 45 minutes of video because we've been out to 3 different businesses that the college works with, and I've interviewed them around performance. So I've asked them to answer questions around English and maths and what that means to them. I've asked them to tell me what high performance looks like to them, and I've also asked them to start to work out, tell us how we work with them and why it's important that they work with Gloucestershire College and what impact it has on their business. Because our performance totally reflects on the customers and the organisations that we work with. So it's really important to capture that. So you've got 3 videos, as I said, from 3 different organisations. The first organisation is Britannia Construction, just based down the road from the Cheltenham campus, and Paul Halfpenny, who's the MD there, who kindly met with me and answered those questions, as I said before. And the second video is with Speller Metcalfe, based in Malvern, and finally the third video is with Renishaw. Unfortunately, the Renishaw video, the sound is not as good as I'd like it to, but hopefully you'll be able to hear the emphasis of what they make around enthusiasm. In fact, they all make that emphasis on people being enthusiastic, having good leadership, being ambitious, and working together in teams. Those are some of the fundamental things they mention as being their top stuff for high performance. So as I said, I hope you enjoy the videos, and we'll review at the end. For you to really introduce your company and the work that you do, so that the staff can understand where you're coming from.
Okay. Well, thank you, James. Britannia Construction, it's a Cheltenham-based contractor. Been here for 50 years. We predominantly, or the areas in which we work are retail. So new shops, shopping developments, with all of the decorative paving and car parking that goes with that, and we also do roads, tunnels and bridges. So that's what we do pretty much in the southwest of England.
Okay. In terms of the work that you do with Gloucestershire College then, where does Gloucestershire College fit in with your company? Okay.
3 years ago we decided that we wanted to sort of bring apprentices into our organisation. So we met with Gloucestershire College and said, well, okay, this is what we want to do, this is the type of business we are, and they very kindly sort of put together a programme around civil engineering works predominantly for us, and what that did was enabled us to really start to look at succession planning, not just at management level within the business, but actually from the whole of the business all the way through.
What are you hoping to get from that succession planning? Where does that take you, the succession planning?
In an ideal world, to get business security for me.
Yeah.
So during the recession, it's always easy to get people. Now the world's a bit busier. It's slightly harder, and I've always liked the idea of being able to say that, if I left tomorrow, my replacement is an apprentice. Okay. So that we fill all the gaps all the way up through the organisation, and we actually go and recruit an apprentice. Okay. That would be the dream. Now, the reality of that happening is much more difficult. But if we can aim to that, then what we do is we give everybody in the organisation the opportunity to be the best they can be and to progress their career as far as they want it to go. Okay.
Well, maybe what links into that is one of my questions around high performance and customer excellence. What you were saying about sort of being able to allow people to be the best they can be, how does that sort of link to high performance? What does that sort of mean?
We encourage all of our employees, all of our people to take ownership. Own what you do, be proud of what you do, be proud to tell people what you do. So if you're the gateman on a project, be proud to tell your family, that's my job, that's where I go. Because if you're not proud to tell them, then we're nowhere near where we need to be. But I think if you can keep it close to home, keep it close to family, that really starts to make you feel proud, because also you're getting feedback from them. The other thing is that when you're making decisions, make the best decision you can make, and in that we say to people, make a decision as if you own the business. you know, because that will always be the best decision you could make. And to a lot of people, it makes it tangible for them in understanding what that decision making means. And in all of that, by people taking that ownership, it does enable us to give the best quality, the most drive, the most ambition with people.
So if we were, because you have, am I right in thinking 4 apprentices that come to the college at the moment?
6.
Is it 6?
6.
Okay. So from those 6 then, what are your expectations of those apprentices? So they're doing work at the college. What are your expectations of those people?
When they first come to us, you know, it's very daunting for them. You know, this is something they've never experienced before, and probably the one thing they've been told is put a suit on, polish your shoes, and learn something about the company. And certainly everybody we've had from Gloucester College has had that bit. But what we want from them is energy, enthusiasm, personality, a self-starter, somebody that wants to be here. They're not here because they're on an apprenticeship, they're here because they see this as a career, they see this as an opportunity, they understand where the opportunity could take them, and that they understand that this isn't just like going to college. This is now the next stage of my life.
Yeah.
And this is going to be different. I'm going to have to do things differently, manage myself differently, behave differently. And all I actually want from them is to want to do that.
Yeah.
We'll teach the rest. You know, they need to be able to communicate and all of the obvious things, but really it's the want. You know, if they're very willing, very wanting, our job is relatively easy.
We've done quite a lot of work around English and maths, and English and maths is something that's quite high profile in the education world. Is that the same for you here?
Yes, I think of all the disciplines, you know, a base understanding of English and a base understanding of maths is critical. And it's not even just critical whether you're at work, it's everything you do now. You know, even using an iPhone or any other phone, you know, you do need an understanding of English and maths. We're not looking for A-star students, we're just looking for people that have done the best they can do.
Yeah.
And if the best means that they can do it but it's hard, well, that's fine. If that's the best you can do and you know that, then come to us and do the best you can do for us.
Okay. We were, in terms of students completing course at the college, and what do you get everything you need, I suppose, is the first question from a student, not necessarily the apprentices that you've got, but do you get everything you need from those people, or would you like a little bit more?
I think from an academic point of view, from a learning point of view, yes, we do. You know, whether it's our apprentices or whether it's students we've just taken and employed, yes, they come with the level of suitable academic experience and qualifications that we require. I think the thing that we struggle with more than anything is people being work ready, and them understanding what the gap is between leaving college and starting work. That even when you're at college, people tell you what to do, people direct you in what to do. When you come to work, you've got to start to think for yourself, you've got to start to do things for yourself, you've got to take ownership for yourself, and much more ownership for your actions. You've got to learn to get out of bed in the morning. You know, you've got to learn the fact that you're going to be absolutely exhausted at the end of the day because you're not used to working those hours. And some of those little things are actually quite challenging, we find, for students when they first come. They don't always expect it. Little things like you might like to bring some lunch, you know, which sounds incredibly obvious, but the number of people that turn up thinking
it's going to be a cafe. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, and it's little things, but in getting them to understand that, it will then open up the greater picture of why do you want to do that job, what's so interesting about that job, and sort of taking them on the journey. But that little bit at the beginning, that bit of housekeeping at the beginning, is quite a shock, we find.
Is there anything that you think that the college might be able to do with that then that you would expect a college to do so that you could prep a student from student to workplace ready?
Well, we're part of an organisation. Britannia are part of a business organisation called Circle to Success, and we've just actually signed a work placement pledge.
Okay.
So that actually means that we will provide work placement for students from colleges, schools, universities, wherever, to give them that experience. And I think if we could do more, even as part of their learning, that they actually came into a business, or they sort of understood the day in the life of somebody at work.
Yeah.
In any job, I don't really think the job matters particularly. This is the structure and how your life will change. But we've certainly been very keen to get more involved with the college in transitioning students on that journey. But also, I think there's a learning coming back the other way. So we've got to challenge ourselves in technology and how students today use technology, how they communicate, and how we transition that into the workplace, and how we get the best out of them.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you take a business uses email. I don't know any 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old that uses email. So, okay, that's fine today, but in 5 years, 10 years' time, well, that's not going to be okay. And I think we've got some reverse learning to do as well. So, although we're saying we want students to be more positioned to go into work, I think we've also got to get back in and actually go, where are these students going? What are they using today? How do they communicate today that's going to change the way we run our business tomorrow?
Okay. It's interesting because the college is going through a period of sort of evolving training into online and a blended learning approach of using online and classroom. Is that something that you mean from sort of understanding of how they sort of communicate and learn?
You know, it could be literally like an online forum where students could get involved with businesses, where they could even have mentors. You know, you could have a business mentor come in and mentor 10 students, you know, just in terms of as a group, have a cup of coffee, this is what we do, you know, come and spend half a day here and actually teach us. I think the learning can be both ways.
Yeah. I'm kind of going off piece a little bit now, but I suppose it's really just sort of trying to understand how your values fit into how that drives your performance and you know how that all integrates for you, because we've got our values as we were talking about earlier, and how that integrates into what we're doing. So our performance reviews are now linked around the values. How does that feature for you here?
We have the usual business performance reviews, we have personal reviews, we have career development plans for people. We do drugs and alcohol testing, which again, you know, we don't do necessarily out of choice, and that's probably quite new. But actually, that's something that society is now demanding. So you know, we have to do that. That's probably something that students don't recognise. For instance, as something that's quite new. But moving that forward, we want people to come into this business, and we want them to own it. We want them to be part of it, because everything we do in this business is about our people. You know, everything we build is built by our people, not by machines or anything else. You know, construction is still very much a people business, and we want people to be building things and creating things and being part of something that will stand there, or you'll drive over for years to come. You know, and driving that and owning that drives the quality, drives the value that you attach to working for an organisation. And we do a lot of sort of talking around, you know, how sporting environments work, because really the sporting sort of culture is very much the type of culture we want to create here. It's that team. You're only as good as your weakest link, and you don't fail the weakest link, you support them, you develop them, you bring them on, because one thing's for certain, that over a period of time, every one of us will be the weakest link at some point. And it's about, you know, taking that journey together. We do a lot with the forces, so we've also got a signed mandate that we will help to recruit ex-forces people
Okay.
into the business as well. And again, they bring a culture, a team spirit that works for us. You know, we employ people who are spouses of forces people,
Yeah.
because they can't get jobs, because people believe they're here for 2 years. Well, if you can have 2 years of a great person, that's the greatest 2 years you can have. And, you know, these things all work.
Yeah.
So we did go off piste, but to me, it's very much about a family, the feel. You know, it's a very commercial business, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But if you can make people happy, if they can enjoy what they do, if they can have a bit of fun on the way, then my belief that their performance will be as high as they can get themselves.
Yeah.
So that was Britannia Limited, and so I really hope that you enjoyed our conversation with Paul. He struck me when I met him as a really engaging managing director that really was focused on his people and the development of his people, and was just really interested in having good apprentices come in that are enthusiastic about the work that they do, because really for him that meant that he could work with that and move things forward. The next session is with Speller Metcalf and Bill Munn, and I hope you enjoy the session. Right, Bill, thank you very much for agreeing to join me today and for answering the questions. First of all, what I'd like to do is just introduce Speller Metcalf for me,
of course.
And also sort of maybe throw in there how you work with Gloucestershire College for them.
Okay, by means of an introduction, I'm Bill Munn. I'm the Best Practice Manager within Speller Metcalf. Speller Metcalf are a 20 years old company, which is relatively new for construction. We're a construction company churning over approximately £125 million a year with 200 employees. But what we have, and we manage to influence, is a fairly significant supply chain. What we don't do, we don't generally lay any bricks ourselves or hang any doors or paint any walls. We have a supply chain that we manage to do that for us. So we're more of a managing construction company or a managing contractor. Our offices are here in Malvern. We have a new office in Wolverhampton where we're hoping to develop new business from, spreading north. And we have an established office also in Gloucester, which is managed by Andy Metcalf and his team. We have a London office also. 20 years is relatively new, and to have a turnover of £125 million is significant growth. It might be worth making the point, first of all, that people, what do they imagine when they hear of construction? I'd perhaps like to make it clear to your team, by means of support, that we are a construction company. We are a business. Our product just happens to be construction. And if we were selling insurance, or if we were selling, I don't know, some sort of clothing, you would expect that company to have an HR department and a marketing department and all the other aspects of a business. We have those, and the skills that go along with them are just as critical to our business. First of all, we promote our business, and then we build for people. Our engagement with Gloucester College, and many other colleges to be fair, and what we look for, is, I guess, service first of all. What can Gloucester bring to us that we need, that marries with our business and our growth, our aspirations and our mission and vision and the culture that we want in our business. And as importantly, that culture is based on what our clients expect of us. So if I can step back a little, on every one of our projects, we now undertake client satisfaction surveys. I undertake those personally, so I have first-hand experience of that. We undertake a survey within 2 to 3 weeks of a project starting. That gives us an opportunity to see what our pre-construction service is like to that client. Then I undertake a survey midway through the project to see how the actual construction phase is going. It gives us an opportunity to view relationships, how we're performing technically, and then I undertake another survey 2 to 4 weeks on completion of a project. And that gives the clients an opportunity to tell us how we performed across a number of criteria. Not just programme and not just technically, but how did the team perform? You know, how was our service delivery? And did we meet their aspirations? How did we manage the finances of that job and other criteria? So the client is talking about their experience of the Speller Metcalfe service. And I guess that becomes our culture, because from that we learn about where we need to improve. And I would be looking for trends. If one person complains about service or praises service, and it could just be an obscure remote result, we're looking for a trend in the centre which will tell us where our business needs to grow and improve. And that then sets the culture, but we are very client focused in what we deliver. And I guess, coming back to the original part of this question, we're looking for someone that would support that vision with us. Not enough to produce technically qualified people in this business. So apprentices are great. We want them, we need them. The business needs them. We need other skills that are softer around communication. So English language, and not just English language, I might add. We operate in a diverse communities around the country, predominantly around the Midlands. But we're looking, communication written is of course critical in this business with the number of contracts we deal with. But verbal communication, if our clients are to like us, we need to be able to speak with them, clearly, make our points well and support our views well, but do it in a way that is sort of empathetic and understanding, not just bullish. We want clients to like our team, and that's what I would hope to see reflected in the surveys that I undertake. So there are other communication skills which sit outside, I guess, the traditional further education and apprenticeship and technical skills that can be delivered in a college. We want a bit more. And even with the college having delivered them, I guess we would then like to hone those skills ourselves, but that's up to us as a business before we expose people to our clients. Worth mentioning probably also, and I alluded to it earlier, that we influence, and not control, but influence a significant supply chain. So our bricklaying is done by external companies, our carpentry, our ceilings, our electricity, our windows are installed. We manage a supply chain. So we can try to influence the way that they take on trainees and apprentices, and that is our driver. But it's also worth bearing in mind that whilst they're, I guess, employed by other companies and managed by other companies, we're interested in getting the same skills that I just alluded to that are important to this business in our supply chain. Our reputation, the reputation of Speller Metcalfe, lies in the hands of our supply chain. So if we undertake with a client to be respectful to neighbours, to not have loud radios and to control any bad language that there might be, then our supply chain have got to do that. They've got to agree to meet the standards. And if they don't, our reputation is ruined in an instant. And that will come out in those client satisfaction surveys.
So when you're doing those surveys, and say for example you saw a gap that wasn't as high performance as you wanted it to do, what's your next steps from there? Where do you go when you're looking to drive that high performance?
Okay, I guess it's fair to say that those surveys, when they come back, they're confidential. I inform the client that they're confidential because they might not want to talk about the performance of a site manager or a contracts manager if they thought it was going directly to them.
Yeah.
Those surveys go to the main board directors. So they see those the moment they're completed and they're distributed to the directors. And they see a collective at every board meeting and discuss them. And if that's when we might see a trend, and if it were a downward trend, and it might be a trend, let's say, against one person within the business, who for many reasons might not be performing. That's not to say they're not capable. Maybe they're overworked. And that would be an area where we'd need to look. And that director responsible for that employee would look at what the trends might be there. It could be a personality clash, who knows? Yeah. It could be an issue with an individual in the business. It could be an issue where they're just too busy. And that's perhaps our fault. So yes, we need to rectify that. And that's when certainly we might be looking to uplift their training. It might be how to deal with difficult people. Because some clients are difficult. They don't want to be. It's just the nature of the beast. And it might be how to, and I talked earlier, how to perform in written communication. It's important that you can express yourself well in letter or verbally. So it might just be honing those skills. Worth mentioning also that many of our managers and senior managers in this business have come through a trade background.
Okay.
So they started as apprentices,
Yeah.
they went on to be under site managers or deputy site managers, to be a site manager, and they've succeeded in all of these. They went on to, let's say, be a contracts manager, where they're managing several contracts, and they've developed their skills, but maybe we haven't trained them enough.
Okay.
Because you can take an excellent site manager, you can make him into a contracts manager, and if you give them no complementary training, what you've done, you've lost your best site manager and you've inherited an absolutely average contracts manager. And you know it's not their fault.
No.
But that's a development strategy that must exist within the business.
Yeah.
And I think that despite our best efforts, that will happen. But that's where, again, the skills that the college can bring to developing teams, to meet the culture that we desire, is where we need to be working closer together. It's not just about hand tool skills, that there is more to it than that. And it's not just about technical skills in learning how to financially manage a project. You can do financial management with a laptop and you can manage the programs, but there has to be this communication. You need to be the right person.
So, but if you were to work with Gloucester College and you were to put a solution together in terms of closing that gap between completing a course to getting a work-ready member of staff that used to be a student, what sort of things would you suggest would be a good way to do it? And it might be that's quite a challenging question, but I wonder if there's an idea of the collaboration that needs to take place then.
Okay, one of the things I often think, and please, this is not a criticism, this is me thinking now because you just asked me the question. It would be, we work closely with some schools. We all know the challenges of trying to get young people into a construction sector. We know how challenging that is. We're facing that. We're involved in something called the Adopt a School initiative, and we're working around the area. We're working where we can with underrepresented groups. Now that might be around gender, as it happens to be locally, and it could be some ethnic or whatever background. Those are the challenges. But we're trying not just to get the pupils into school, but to try and get the teachers into school. So teacher placement is a program which I think is very strong, is excellent, because the teachers have access to young people all the time. What would be wrong with getting some college lecturers to take a week out, a sabbatical or something, spend a week in a construction company? Actually, it needs 2 days on perhaps a construction site, because that's where our product is.
Yeah.
But it needs 3 days around the office to talk about these softer skills that we're talking about. And then if that learning was taken back into the classroom, I think there's an opportunity there. Just if it was only a discussion with the youngsters about these are the skills you need. I'm not suggesting that every day you can let some of the technical skills go and teach that, but actually to make students more desirable to us, to make the college more attractive as a provider to us, to deliver the service that we desire in the same way that we wish to deliver a service to our clients that they desire. This is the chain. It is no different. And we see colleges as a supply chain member, as we see glaziers and bricklayers and electricians, a service provider to us that's precious in the presentation of our business image to our clients. And I don't know if that's answered your question, but I do think if we could get lecturers into our company, into our business, to see what we're about. They deserve to know, otherwise, forgive me, I mean, maybe we're just delivering against qualifications. It's like in schools, and I don't want to digress too much, schools deliver against an offset programme, a target. And if they don't, they're perceived to have failed. And yet, there's more to it. And we, British Industry UK, desire more than just academic outcomes. People talk about, are they job ready? And I think that's where other skills, softer skills, need teaching.
So there's an opportunity then to collaborate together for colleges, to collaborate with workplaces, to make students employable.
And that's really what we're talking about, is the employability of those individuals, that when they complete their course, that course also embeds some of those softer skills that you mentioned and some of the workplace ready skills, so that when they do get here, it's not so difficult for them to transit from a course to work. It's actually, well, I've kind of been doing it for a long time anyway.
That's exactly what we need.
Yeah.
And I think that desire, that wish, that opportunity is not restricted to construction. I started by saying we're a business and our product is construction. I'm imagining that businesses like Kinetic up the road, the skills they desire, the technical skills, will be a world apart. But the social, the communication and the client interfacing skills will be no different. Would be my bet. And I haven't spoken to them about that, but that would be my bet.
That's brilliant, Bill. I think that's absolutely fantastic. In terms of one more question that I've got to ask you, part of the development day that we're doing is on high performance, and I've asked another organisation this as well. So maybe if you could suggest 2, maybe 3 things that someone could apply to their work that would make them high performing. What are the things, what are the traits, the characteristics that you expect, that you think makes you high performing?
It's hardly an aspiration of a high performer, but I think the quality that any young person, if that's what we're talking about, can bring to employment is enthusiasm. In this industry, that's what people want to see, because we have all sat next to someone who has no desire to work, is not interested in what you're telling them, and the worst case scenario is you're talking to them and training them and they're texting on their phone. I mean, that's not going to help. So bring enthusiasm. That's for sure, because if someone's enthusiastic, we are all inclined to encourage them, and we're happy to give up our time and knowledge and experience and technical expertise to develop that person. And because they have enthusiasm, they will go through a business, because if someone comes with enthusiasm, you can put the other stuff in, because they're receptive to the notion, receptive to the training, and it's natural that they will benefit from that. They will see the support they're getting and they will grow. And many apprentices have gone on to be managing directors. I know that. I have personal experience of that. There is also, I think, a good academic background is good, but being able to apply that. And I think sometimes, if I can step back again, and I'm sorry to keep digressing, to our Adopt a School programme, we are trying to take construction-related problems and take them into a classroom environment and make them fit a curriculum. So it's not just, here's a math problem, solve it. Here's a real problem, and apply that to this real, and it has more meaning. And I think if people can apply their learning, and I guess is that a transferable skill, and if that's the term you use, I think it fits very nicely. And all of this is about someone showing willingness, enthusiasm, which they're not so far apart, to want to progress. And they will progress. Sure, academia plays a part, of course it does. So young people need to apply themselves in the classroom, because that's where this learning starts. And it might not have been brought from school, but I think students need to understand that here we are, this is the second half of this game, and here's another chance to win the second half, you know, in sports psychology terms. Let's go into the second half, here's another chance to start this learning. But suddenly it's a bit more real, because there's a job on the end of this. And if they understand that if they're a class of students that don't yet have employment, and employers are coming in to fish for potential students, then it's real. It's a real situation, you know, and this will determine the standard of living for the rest of their lives, you know, and if they have aspirations around ownership and families and the standard of living, all that starts then. We know that it started in school. We're all too young then to grasp that. There's other things to do. But I think college is a good opportunity to make that clear, to re-establish some new criteria. For me, it's not a continuation of school, it's another opportunity. And there will be students that don't grasp that. And I don't know quite today what we do about that in the time that we've got left. But I know that those that grasp it will go on. And I think we would like to see high achievers are those coming out with ambition. And I don't know that you can teach that, it's in them or isn't. But that ambition could be born from enthusiasm, and someone encouraged them and that led to them having ambition. I think that's the key to this. I don't think there are three key things. I think it's around an individual. I recognise also that not all individuals are given the same chance in younger life, and we need to be aware of that. Mm. But I don't think anyone should be written off. I believe that everyone should be given that second and third chance. However challenging it might be, there is something in there in everyone. So, I mean, let's make the most of that if we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was Bill Munn and Spiller Metcalf. I really think that you can see the passion that Bill has for his work and for the organisation that he works with. Bill struck me as an individual that really knows what he needs to do to get the best performance out of his teams, but also how he reviews the skills and the abilities and the work that the people that they employ into their organisation in order to ensure that there's constant improvement and high performance in everything they do. So this final video is for Renishaw that we're working with at the moment. As I said at the start, the audio isn't great. I've tried to tweak it, but more training required on the audio visual, and hopefully you get the impact that something that Renishaw, you know, some of the people that turn over billions of pounds a year, and why they work with Gloucestershire College and why that's important to them.
Right, well, thank you both for meeting with me today. Just to give the staff an opportunity to understand what Renishaw's is, can you just introduce the organisation and say how we link with you at Gloucestershire?
Yes, so here at Renishaw we are a global leader in metrology, and that's metrology that's applied both on the industrial side and also on the healthcare side. Our business today is, well, certainly in 2015, we turned over just under £500 million. We are a British FTSE 250 company. We're headquartered here in Toowoomba Edge, and we have just over 4,000 employees across the world.
In terms of Gloucestershire College then, where does Gloucestershire College fit in your organisation?
Well, certainly for me personally, I have a history with Gloucestershire College because I did my engineering apprenticeship with them from 1988 to 1993. So I have a personal link with the college. In the last year or two, we've started to work a bit closer with the college, and Paul, who's my training and development manager, we're working to help with the application of metrology, which is where we lead globally, that application of metrology into their engineering syllabus at the college. And we also recognise that because we have also established practices with other educational systems, with university colleges across the UK, this is something that's really in our heartland. We're based in Gloucestershire, so we should be working with colleges and university in Gloucestershire.
Paul, for you in terms of working with the college?
Well, a further aspect of that is that we train and develop our own staff in further education qualifications. So our linking at the moment is to actually developing our own staff so that we become qualified teachers, lecturers in our own right, assisting the college to train their students, but also training all your staff and being up-to-date engineering skills in modern manufacturing.
So it's a real collaboration thing there.
Yes, yeah. In fact, I think there's a number of the senior members of the college I meet on a fairly regular basis, and we've worked on other initiatives. Recently, at an initiative looking at how we can help to lobby the government through the Educations Committee. And certainly, as an employer, we're at the receiving end of what has come through the education system, and too often we're I wouldn't say disappointed, but there are certainly areas of focus that we know needs to be looked at, and certainly on the STEM subject side. This is an engineering organisation, and therefore anyone coming into this organisation, they need to have a high level of maths, as well as other subjects before coming in. When new students, graduates, apprentices come into the organisation, it's important that they're work ready and capability of skills and knowledge around those key subjects. When they come into the organisation and then we onboard them, then we give them the application knowledge about our products, our systems, applications. What we don't want to do is have to go back and almost cut some of that ground that we feel that the education system needs to do for us.
Okay. So you mentioned maths. Maths and English are sort of key key areas for the college to improve on? And you mentioned that sometimes you don't always get what you're after.
Yes.
What are the gaps for you in terms of the student that you do get at the moment and what you'd like them to get?
I think, well, Paul's probably in that situation because he had to actually address some of those concerns within our own academy.
We take in a number of apprentices and graduates each year, and what we're finding is that people are turning up without the necessary skills, even at graduate level, at maths and English. And it seems to be a subject that's slightly brushed over. Right. What we need to do, or what colleges need to do, is understand that we have an entry level system, and people have to pass the things in. Maths, physics, English are core subjects. When we look for the level C levels, we need to take on our apprentice program, because that gives us a level of understanding of where they are in the education stream. Without that, it makes it very, very difficult for us to do anything. I'm currently working on a trailblazer scheme, which is on a country based, and we're looking at C upwards, maybe even a B to define the entry level for this in the apprenticeship scheme.
So for you then, with the maths in particular and the physics and STEM subjects, the level needs to be almost a little bit higher than what the current government sort of levels are in terms of for
obviously there's also what the recommendation of other courses are equivalent to. But obviously for what the level of training that we're trying to provide, we need something slightly higher than those.
Most of the college development days around performance and driving performance. Is there a link between that maths and the STEM subjects for you in terms of what goes on at the college and driving your performance? Is there the reasons behind, I'm assuming there is behind
absolutely, because it's the time to actually get the return on the investment. So when we take apprentices or we take graduate engineers or commercial graduates into the organisation, one of the measures we have is how long does it take before we're getting a return back on those new employees that we've taken into the company. So if we are having to revisit areas, that's a delay before we're actually able to then give these people real life working projects. And so in the case of Renishaw, be it on the engineering side or the commercial side, we are working on major programs that are 5 years or 7 years in gestation. So we have to make sure that when we bring the new talent into the teams, it is something that they can help, because every 6 months delay on a project, because we haven't got that talent there, is a delay in selling the products into the still environment.
In terms of the college itself and your expectations of what staff provide students, what's that look like to you? What are you expecting? Someone, maybe a student that's either in engineering or any subject, I suppose. They come into college. What are your expectations that person is going to? What are the skills, the basic skills you're going to need to get to come into?
The most important skills, I think, it's relevant to the profession, is an attitude. So it's the attitude to learn. So I think if within the college infrastructure, there's almost this ability to focus on ensuring that students have a positive outlook and attitude to learning, and recognise that every day, even for someone that's more mature in their career, is a day to learn something new and develop. I think that's the key. So certainly within engineering subjects, it's that attitude to learning within the engineering environment. One of the things we've been speaking to with the college, and this is part of where we're developing a partnership, is how can we help some of the university or college lecturers around, okay, so what is our expectation here on the industry side, but also what experience can we give those guys here, and vice versa, anyone working here in industry, to make sure they get a better understanding. So this kind of walking in my shoes mentality is one that I think we're feel quite important about that. So Paul and myself have been talking to the college about some of the engineering school. What can we do to help the engineering school to support the student environment? So if we're teaching with leading edge equipment, then that's a greater environment for the student, because they know that, well, today I'm in class, but I'm learning about something that's going to be of immense value when I finish my qualification. And I think it's important that we protect the foundation of learning, certainly in engineering. The ability to read an engineering drawing is key critical, but equally to understand the importance of automation, robotics, driving efficiencies in manufacturing processes, and that's where we can absolutely help add a lot of value. That's critical, and that's important because that's the industry. So for us, it's like competitive advantage in the organisation. Well, actually, it's that competitive advantage having a high class of student in the college.
I think an understanding where we come from, we are quite an automated engineering company focusing on high-end manufacturing processes. What we want to do is pass that knowledge on to the colleges so that we're giving that to the students. So when they come here, they know what a high production parts are made, manufactured, and actually integrated into the working environment. You can do that at the college as opposed to leaving the table and moving years where college lecturers can calm down, they don't actually stay up to date. Maybe we even do a time where college lecturers come in and work with us. So we can up their end, get over in the years.
So certainly for us, we've had to develop our own academies. So myself and Paul, we developed an academy here, but we also are developing academies around the world. So we know that the ongoing education of our employees is key critical, and that's why we've now got over 5,000 training days delivered over the last few years. I think now that we've got that foundation in place here in this working, it's really like, okay, so how do we take that outside and make sure that we develop a strong pipeline coming into the organisation, as well as supporting the people that are here. I think being an attractive company is key as well. So one of the benefits of then working with colleges, universities and Gloucestershire is to actually demonstrate that engineering is no longer that dirty or environment. Pretty much dinner most of the floors here, and that's because actually engineering can be quite sexy. And we're working in some cases on technologies that are helping patient outcomes. So that's quite new to ensure that's some of the diversity here. So actually some of the types of students we would have recruited in the past, there's actually going to be different types of students we're going to have to recruit in the future. So it's kind of having a view of the strategic objective of the organisation. So actually we might not be just 20 mechanical engineers next year. We're going to have to take biomedical scientists next year. We're going to have to take different types of students. So I think that's the other thing. We're changing, but if we don't communicate to the education system what we need, how do you know? I think that's the piece. If we don't talk, then it's a breakdown of communication.
Last thing then, just to wrap up, maybe 2 things that someone could take away that will help them drive performance.
2 things. Well, I think 2 things. Well, maybe it's not 2 words, but I think strong leadership is imperative. So for us in this organisation, I think everyone actually wants that strong leadership. So if it's leadership in education, leadership in industry, that actually enables you to hang everything off it. So if everyone's very clear about what they're doing, that leadership is imperative. And I think and the second thing would be just be really clear on what you're setting out to do. Because then if you're really clear that these are the things we're going to achieve next week, next month, next year, that leadership piece with it, actually you stand a good chance of making it happen. That would be my 2.
I think teamwork is crucial. We put a lot of importance on teamwork. We're working dedicated small groups where if there's a problem, it's a team solution. And we're still advancing that way. What we do, teamwork works, it gels together. And really, it's enthusiasm. And Renishaw is a very, very enthusiastic company. And if someone comes in with that attitude, that enthusiasm, we have a director who started as a apprentice. We knew where we wanted to go, and this company was really
So that's the end of our videos. I really hope you've enjoyed all 3 interviews, and it's given you a flavour of why we work with the customers that we do, and what how much impact that the work that we do in the classrooms and outside of the classrooms, and the learning that goes on around this workplace, and how that transfers to our customers. And by performing at our highest, we get the best from our customers, and we get loyal customers. all that's left for me to say is enjoy College Development Day on Thursday, and I really hope that you're able to take something away from the day and use it within your department.